What's going on, y'all? The reviewer is here, and I'm back to give y'all this movie review of Knocked Up. If y'all don't know about this movie, I'm going to explain it to y'all. So this is a comedy drama film. This movie is rated R, and the guy that you're looking at on this cover is Seth Rogen. All right. This was a movie that came out in 2007. It also stars Katherine Heigl. I gotta say the list: Paul Rudd, Joanna Kerns, Jason Segel, Leslie Mann, and the director is done by Judd Apatow or Apatow. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the last name, but I know I got it right. All right, so I remember back in 2007 when this movie came out. I ain't gonna get into it, but if y'all remember this movie, y'all know how crazy this movie starts off. All right, so I'm going to start it off by saying it all starts off with Katherine Heigl, who stars as Allison. Allison is one of those entertainer workers that works at E Entertainment Network. You know, seems like she got a nice little career going on and all that. And then Seth Rogen stars as Ben Stone, and he just having fun with life with the rest of the fellas. I'm not gonna list them all, but it starts off kind of funny. You know, it's a funny movie. You know what I'm saying? And when later on Allison got called to the office by her boss and all that, and she got promoted to basically working on live television, interviewing people. So she got promoted to that job, and Leslie Mann, who is Debbie, and her husband Paul Rudd character Pete, you know, they all in the movie. And then once they found out that Allison got promoted, you know, she wanted to celebrate, and they went to a club or whatnot. And then in the club was Ben Stone and the rest of his friends there. Jason Segel, you know, kind of initiate the conversation with them, Ben and Allison, you know, getting to know each other. One thing led to another. They had a few drinks, and then they got drunk. I'm talking about Ben and Allison. They got drunk and they had sex, and there's some crazy scenes. You know, they dancing, having fun, and then, like I said, they went up having sex. Once Allison found out how Ben is as a person, because he tried to get to know him, she was like, you know what, screw this. I'm getting away from this guy. So don't worry, this movie is, I'm saying a lot of this, but this movie is like 2 hours long, so I'm not giving out too much of spoilers. So a few weeks later, Allison started getting sick and stuff, and she was trying to figure out why, and then she probably realized that she was pregnant, but she wasn't too sure about that. So she had her sister Debbie help her get pregnancy tests and all that stuff, and you know, they came up positive. And then she was like, you know, Ben was the only guy that I had sex with, blah blah blah. So she contacts Ben. They got back together talking and stuff like that. So they having their little interaction with each other, arguing this funny stuff, and then they decide to go to a gynecologist, you know, blah blah blah. Next thing you know, she actually is pregnant. She's sad because she realized, you know, now she has to think about the baby and all that stuff. And I'll stop there because I think I've said enough. But I said it without giving any spoilers. And besides, the name of the movie is Knocked Up. Let's be real. We all know what that means. Now, to give this a fair rating, I won't do that. But I would say that this is a really great film, man. I love it. Katherine Heigl, who is a very attractive woman, by the way, she really did her thing on this movie. And, you know, Seth Rogen did his thing as well. I'm going to say this much, man. I remember back in 2007, right? I was in New Jersey. I was in the military then. A friend of mine at that time, he was telling me like, yo man, we gotta watch this movie Knocked Up. And I'm like, Knocked Up? Man, what movie is that? And he was like, yeah, Seth Rogen is on there. And at the time, I kind of knew who he was, but I didn't really know. And then he said there's some other chick on there too. And he said he couldn't remember her name, but it's Katherine Heigl. At that time, she was in the show Grey's Anatomy. So I was like, man, I ain't watching no movie called Knocked Up, man. And you know, I was just skeptical about the whole thing. But then he pretty much convinced me. So I said, you know what? The hell with it. I ain't doing nothing anyway. So I went to the movie theaters to watch it, man. Oh my God, it was so hilarious, man. I enjoyed this movie. I really did. And then after watching it recently, I was like, this movie funnier than when I saw it in the theaters. You know what I'm saying? But I think on Rotten Tomatoes, they give it like a 90-something%. And I would say, you know what? They're on point. I think it's probably one of the best comedy movies I've seen in a minute, man. And anyone that watches this movie, I haven't heard anything negative about it. I ain't gonna get into that, but I'm gonna say it's sad though that this was the only movie that Katherine Heigl and Seth Rogen ever been in together. They made a great chemistry throughout this movie. And I'm gonna say there was an Asian guy, he's on this movie too as a doctor. So I can't remember his name, but he's definitely well known in some movies. I'll put the name in the description box. I think it's Ken something. I can't remember the last name, but I think that's what it is. If you're into comedy movies, man, you would definitely love this film, man. And if for those who haven't watched it, you are seriously missing out. I mean, seriously, you are seriously missing out. And it's rated R too, so you know what to expect. And there's really not a scene that I would skip. I think every scene on this movie is worth watching. Even the arguments with the marriage and the arguments in the car. That's probably one of my favorite scenes, by the way, the car argument. Another one of my favorite scenes too is when they were there in the doctor's office. Oh man, I can't get enough of watching that scene. And then there's another scene. Oh, also the black guy, Craig Robinson. He played a little small part on there too. I'm trying to tell y'all, if you haven't watched this movie, you need to watch it now. And now as I speak, you need to watch this movie. I enjoyed it. Straight up, man. I was like, and I can watch it again. Honestly, I can watch this movie one time a month. One time a month. I can watch this movie one time a month and I'll enjoy it. I'm not going to stress more about that. It was very, I didn't expect how great this movie was. I'm just trying to think of a down. I can't think of anything negative because every scene on there is worth watching. It's sad though, I have to say again, it's sad that they never been in another film together again, because I think Katherine Heigl downplayed this movie, and I don't understand why. I'm missing it, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. What's done is done, the milk is spilled. So anyway, shout out to the director. Shout out to all the actors and actresses of this film. This film is pretty much a masterpiece, man. So that's it. Much love to the real folks, and I'll be on here back with another review. All right, peace out, guys.